more than touchdown favorites in Cleveland Sunday afternoon. Brew, what do you need to see to think the Ravens are all the way back?
Well, I'm going to be honest. I probably will not think they're all the way back until they overcome Pittsburgh, so they're leading the AFC North, and beat Pittsburgh. And that could be the same week. But if they win out going through Pittsburgh, they'll be 8-5. Pittsburgh got Cincinnati next. Let's say that's a win. Chicago, that's a tough game. Let's say that's a win, though. Then they have Buffalo and the Ravens. So let's say they lose to Buffalo. The Ravens beating them would make the Steelers 7-6.
Sure.
That's when I'll really, because they're not even in the playoffs yet. And they're playing well, but that's when I'll really be like, okay, you can exhale. They are back. And look, they blew out Cleveland in week 2, 41-17.
In a weird game.
It was I was there, and they didn't look great in the first half, but the defense had an interception, had a pick. So you kind of felt like the defense is playing well. Obviously, they weren't back. The defense was really terrible following that game. And so a blowout, Coach, by itself won't tell me they're back, especially now it's Dylan Gabriel at quarterback for Cleveland instead of Joe Flacco. But what I want to see to feel good about it is a comfortable win. Maybe it's essentially over by halftime. I want to see Lamar start to look like, the MVP Lamar. I'd like to see the run game well. Obviously, the defense needs to continue well. I'm going to say 14 points. I like hold them to 14 points max. Maybe hold them to a touchdown. And then, Coach, I want to see improvement in the red zone. Right now, they're 27th in the league in the red zone. Last year, they were first. So the red zone, I want to, when they get down there, I want it to be essentially an automatic touchdown. It hasn't been close to that this year so far. So those are the things I'm looking for from them.
See, I do think that you can make a case that they're all the way back depending on how they win. So even though we saw the defense wasn't as good as we thought they were based off of how they played the Browns the first game, that was an awesome game for them defensively and on special teams. So if they can produce something like that, again, to me, that goes a long way in saying this defense is more in line with how we've always thought about Baltimore. Now, the flip side of that is Lamar threw 4 touchdowns in that game, but they were all short, 5 yards because of the turnovers and the block kick. They only had 81 yards of offense, though, in the first half. Yeah. This is a really, really good Browns defense. Yeah. So the red zone would be nice, but to see a efficient and effective and at times explosive Ravens offense, especially early in the game, against this defense, to me, that's a pretty good indication that they can score and be good against anybody.
I 1,000% agree with you.
No, well, I know that I'm not the expert of the show. The authority of the show. I heard off the top. So coming from you, that means a lot to me.
I don't think the show has a singular authority. We all bring our own levels of expertise and experience.
Very hurt
but I totally agree. Because that first game, so that was the same weekend as Chiefs-Eagles. We came back. Wilds and I went from Kansas City here. You went from Kansas City to Baltimore. And you were the one, assuredly, of all of us most closely watching that game because you were at that game. And I think you see a game that finished 41-17, and you think one team owned them. The Ravens' offense was bad in that game.
Bad.
They were outgained. Now, again, the Browns at that point in time had Flacco at quarterback as opposed to Dylan Gabriel. But they had 240 yards total, the Ravens did. They were 3 of 12 on first downs. For the two teams, just very, very quickly, here were the possessions in the first half. Punt, 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 field goal, punt, punt, block punt for a touchdown, punt, 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 field goal, punt. There's 11 punts in that first half. I don't think, and don't bring up Cam Ward, Coach, I don't think you can prove anything defensively against Dylan Gabriel because I don't think Dylan Gabriel at this moment is a starting NFL quarterback. The reason I totally agree with Coach is I think you can prove a lot offensively because this Browns defense is awesome. And Lamar is taking too many sacks this year. Thus, you know what I mean, for his own. And the hamstring and now the banged up knee, that part's a little concerned. Yes, about his escapability.
Yeah. Well, listen, it depends how great the offense is and when, because if it's another situation where the offense is great, but it's because you're getting so many extra possessions because you're forcing turnovers or a short field, that's fine. I mean, then that kind of hurts in terms of the evaluation. For me, listen, Nick's take in terms of you can't really learn much defensively, but you can offensively. I get it, and it's not necessarily wrong or like a hard disagree necessarily, but just the way how I look at it right now, especially because considering how if you really don't believe in this offense of the Cleveland Browns, then that impacts the defense as well. That impacts of what the ball, how much they're on the field. There's just a lot of other factors at play that for me, it's hard for me to imagine that the Baltimore Ravens can prove anything to me that they're all the way back, whatever that even means. Because for me, it's like the Ravens are too great of a team for me to think that by beating the Cleveland Browns, whether it's by a lot or whatever, that they're all the way back. Just like when the Chiefs rolled the Commanders and when they rolled the Raiders, that told me exactly nothing. And that's what I kept saying. And Chiefs fans got really mad at me. And I was just like, that means nothing to me. You beat the Raiders. Congrats. And that's what's kind of funny because Nick was dropping banners, the tackle that turned the tie, like all that type of stuff. And I was like, congrats, you beat Marcus Mariota. Congrats, you beat Geno Smith, who's cannot stop throwing interceptions. And it was like, it just means nothing to me. Absolutely, positively nothing to me. And then what happens? They lose to the Bills. And you're just like, okay. Right? It's like they beat the Giants with Russell Wilson. It's like, okay. So, and this is what I talked about on Tuesday about the Eagles and the Packers, that each game so far this season has really, truly taken on an identity of its own. And so at this point, it's just like, if you're a great team, if you're a top team, if you're a Super Bowl contender, if you're a playoff, you're going to be in the playoffs. It's just all about who you're playing against in the playoffs. What's the quality of play you bring to that game? And so that is why it's just like, right, how do you play against the Steelers? How do you play against the Bills, the Bucks, the Eagles, the Chiefs? Like, that's what it matters. Blowing out a team here, hanging 42-7, it just won't mean much. It really won't. We can make the argument, well, this is a great defense, and I get it, and I could make that argument too. I really can. But at the end of the day, and that is where beating, say, the Raiders and beating the Commanders is different, because they are fundamentally like a weaker team on both sides of the ball. Well, I shouldn't say both sides, because the offense is a little bit more feisty for the Commanders, even with Mariota, even though they were injured and were missing pieces. Still a backup quarterback. Their defense is a mess. The Raiders have just been a mess offensively and defensively for that matter. So I get the argument of like, hey, this is still like a really good defensive team, and the Browns offense is semi-comp. Like, I get it, divisional game. Like, I get it. It's just like how it was with the Chiefs for me. It's the same thing for the Ravens. It's born out of respect for these franchises and these quarterbacks. It's just like, it doesn't move the needle for me. Now, if the Ravens were losing and were really struggling over these last couple of weeks, which obviously I know they had their struggles with injuries and Lamar not playing, but if it was like more close to what the Bills kind of find themselves in a little bit, with a little bit more kind of like, hey, you're playing inconsistent, you're dealing with some injuries too, but not like what we could say with like Lamar not playing, or the defense is just absolutely decimated with like 8+ injuries or whatever, then I could understand saying, hey, you need a big win here, kind of similar to what the Philadelphia Eagles did last year out of their bye after they got rocked by the Bucks. And then it was like, they need a big game against, ironically, the Cleveland Browns, but that was with Deshaun Watson. And they didn't have this big, gigantic win. They won, and the offense looked better, and the defense, and like I said, there was nothing really to gain from that defense going up against Deshaun Watson. But that game fundamentally didn't really teach you anything. What did you learn? When they beat the Baltimore Ravens, when they beat the Rams, right? When they went on and beat these other teams, like that's what showed you, okay, this team's for real. This team is legit. And at that point, when they beat the Browns, they were like 2-2. So it was obviously a different situation and a newer team with Saquon and Kellen Moore and whatnot. But I don't know. You prove your back or your level of greatness when you're playing against the great teams. That really is what it gets boiled down to. I don't like to just try to skip games or overlook a game against the Cleveland Browns, but there is a certain level of a team, right? And where you right, not every game that's meaningful has to be like an elite winning record 9-1 team or something, or a playoff team. Like, you can still learn plenty when you're playing a lower level team. But you then have the Cleveland Browns. They're in their own little special category, along with, I know the Carolina Panthers got had a couple of nice little wins there. It's like, congrats, but like the Panthers, the Browns, the Saints, like just these teams we were just like, I don't know, man. What are you really learning from this? That's why I was so telling that the Broncos struggled with the Raiders. It's like, this team is it should be so much less than you, that this game should have never felt like it was even remotely in the balance. Like, that's what you can learn in those moments. But if you won big, if the Raiders if the Broncos dominated the Raiders, you would be like, yeah, good. You proved that you're not on that tier. That's what you prove. And I don't think the Ravens need to prove that. Just like I didn't think the Chiefs needed to prove that. So that's just where I stand with all of this. There'll still be good things to learn and still things to good takeaways, and still obviously worth it to watch and analyze and break down. But the sense of like, are they truly back, which would mean a bona fide Super Bowl contender? At most, I guess you look at it, the thing that you can learn is, how does Lamar Jackson look? How comfortable does he look? Does he feel like he is back to like who we all know and love? But outside of that, I don't know. Seems kind of straightforward for me. But those are just my thoughts. I'd absolutely love to hear yours. What do you guys all think about Lamar Jackson and the Baltimore Ravens? Do you think that they can prove they're all the way back on Sunday? If you do, let me know why, like what they can do, what you'd be looking for. If not, what will it take? Let me know your thoughts in the comments below. I read every single comment, so whether you agree with me or disagree with me, either way, let's get in some discussions, let's get in some fights, but ultimately, let's just have some fun. And please do consider subscribing. We are building an amazing community here, and I absolutely love to see you part of it. I want to build something that we all generally feel connected to, something that we're really excited to be part of. I think we're well on our way to doing it. Please don't forget to give this video a thumbs up, as it really does help with the visibility and the algorithm. Thank you so much. See you next time.